Yo,
Yeah, I can hear you now.
okay. For some reason, like I have my audio input as like my studio mic, so I can hear myself when I test the audio and myself speak, but for some reason I can't hear you, so I'm just using my computer audio. Do you hear me?
Yeah, it's perfect.
All right, cool. What's up, man?
Not much. How you been?
Chilling, bro. How's everything?
Everything's all right. Still been quarantined in the house. Since I last talked to you, I've only been out of the house twice.
Get the fuck out of here,
Yeah.
man. You've only been out of the house twice?
Yeah.
Hold up. What arcade do you have right there?
Arcade Pac-Man.
Just Pac-Man?
Yeah.
That's dope. I want one of those things so fucking bad. Greg has one, but he's got like the modded one with like 2,000 game, like or like 20,000 games on it. It's got like every system.
Yeah,
I
that's
need,
fire.
yeah, man. You only left the house twice, man. That's crazy. I salute you for that because I at this point I violated everything they told you not to do on TV.
How many times have you been out of the house?
I mean, dude, I'm outside every day, dude. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like I do the bare minimum. If I go into a store, I wear a mask and yo, like honestly, in the beginning, I was real anxiety stricken, and it was really taking a toll on my just day to day happiness and fucking mental health. And I think once like May rolled around, and I was like, all right, I'm not dead yet, and I'm checking the CDC every day, like where we at, where we at, like my fear levels have gone down, but it's like I don't know, man. I think there's only so much you could take mentally, like not seeing your family and not going outside. I don't know. I mean, I'm careful. I keep it to a close knit circle of people, but I've definitely broken quarantine at this point.
If it wasn't for my shows, I'd probably go nuts.
Yeah, man.
That's how I've been preoccupying myself this whole time.
How do you go to this? Like, how do you buy food? How do you go to the store? You do everything just like online,
My parents
contact,
do that.
like contactless deliveries and shit.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's your parents' crib.
Yeah.
Damn, man. Yeah, bro. I mean, look, how old are you? 21?
One, yeah.
I mean, you're in the clear, dude. I mean, I think the biggest thing you should be concerned about is maybe you getting sick and passing it to somebody who's older. But like you yourself, I don't think I think you're good, man. Young kids are straight.
I
But
hope so. You haven't changed your background vinyls except for the third bass one.
yeah, I did that because
The Search podcast.
yeah. I did the Search podcast,
How was
so
the
I
Search podcast? That's a legend. I know we've talked about it many times on the show here before. I've compared you to Pete Nice. So how was it to talk to that legend, MC Search?
talking to MC Search was cool, man. I feel like it was like I just feel like it was like a long time coming. You know what I mean? Like I've been trying to get his attention for a while, and just to have his like stamp of approval is just really cool. You know what I mean? Because he's a Far Rockaway native. He's one of like five rappers that you could really name that like really came out of Far Rockaway and like represented. So for him to like just acknowledge what I was doing was really cool, and like he was he's just a cool guy. You know what I mean? It was just real nice, down to earth. So it was dope to get to talk to him and be on his show. Yeah, man, it's an honor. Shit is surreal sometimes. You know what I mean? The way the internet can put you in front of people is nuts.
It is. I watched some of it. I watched some of the interview that you did. You spoke very highly of your music. I think he respects what you do because you keep it lyrical 100% all the time, and it's official.
Yeah, man. It's on one hand it's like I can't believe like I have this guy's attention. On the other hand, it's like I've been putting in the work, so I feel like on one hand it's deserved, on the other it's like damn, like can't believe like I'm talking to this guy right now. You know what I'm saying? I think Daru's trying to connect. Hold on one second.
Yeah, we'll get into the album as soon as he comes in the chat.
Yeah, man. Is this the interview right now, or is this like the pre-interview waiting for Daru?
Yeah, I mean it's a pre. We're live right now on YouTube, but this is the pre-interview.
That's dope. What else has been new, man?
Not much. Just grinding out my shows, just kicking that up a notch, just going crazy with my shows.
Yeah, man, I've been seeing the people you've been having on. It's like I feel like every week you just keep elevating, the guest list. You know what I'm saying? Like you just keep getting more, notoriety, and it's like it's cool to see the growth, man. Like I think that like after we spoke last time, you had what? You had Static on the show, you had Fame, you had Fat Joe, you had Brian McKnight, you
Yeah.
had fucking Kenny Smith, right? Jesus, man.
Gotta keep pushing and going forward.
Yo, Daru.
Daru's in the building.
What up?
Welcome to the show, Daru.
Thank you. So are we doing the landscape mode? Should I turn my camera?
Whatever way you want to do. If you want to keep it portrait, any way you want.
Okay, let me see if I can get right.
Mm-hmm.
How we looking?
We're looking good.
We're good, man.
So how you doing, Daru? Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having us, brother.
No problem. How are you doing the whole pandemic?
Man, I'm just making the best of everything, That's the best thing that I can say. Just making the best of everything.
So you guys had the project done before COVID-19, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
When did you guys officially meet?
We officially met, I want to say December 2018. I basically got a call from my boy Sean, who does some managerial stuff for me, but really he's just a friend of mine that looks out for me. And he was real cool, or is real cool rather, with a keyboardist by the name of Borum Lee, who was doing a show at the Blue Note, which is a legendary jazz club.
Jazz cafe, yeah.
Yeah, in the city. Everybody's performed there. And Borum, Daru, Nate Edgar, and a friend of mine named Chauncey Yearwood were also, they were performing as a collective doing, I don't want to say tribute because I know Daru doesn't like that word, but a salute to Jay Dilla and DJ Premier, just as an ensemble performing, not really their hits, but more like their classic B-sides. But they were also looking to bring some MCs on stage. So they were doing 2 nights there, and it was kind of last minute. Like my friend Sean called me and he's like, look, you definitely should check out this show that my boy's doing at the Blue Note, and they want some MCs to get on stage. If you want to go on and rhyme, they said you could come through. So I was like, yeah, no doubt. So they were actually doing a rehearsal at, I think it was Borum's crib in Long Island City. And I remember pulling up to the rehearsal, and it was all them in a room together. And I was kind of nervous because I knew Chauncey. I never met Daru. I might have met Borum in passing before that, but I was pretty much walking into a room where I didn't really know anybody like that, and I knew I was gonna have to, basically rap for everybody, like a borderline audition, while at the same time, you know what I mean, like a borderline audition while at the same time doing a rehearsal, because they were gonna get on stage in like 2 hours from the point that I met them. So
I forgot about that. I forgot we rehearsed right before the show, which is bugged out.
Yeah, so I just walked into the room, and like, I think everything I had been doing up until that point kind of prepared me for that moment, because, they would play something like J Rue the Damager, me and the Papes, and they'd be like, what do you have for this? And I just started rhyming. Like, I literally just go, like, my whole Rolodex of rhymes I had in my head, I started saying, and it sounded good. And
it was perfect. It was perfect. Perfect. I don't know if they were pre-recorded rhymes, but they flow really great over the tracks that we presented. Perfect. Yeah, man. Definitely.
And then definitely. Literally, from the rehearsal, like I said, like 2 hours later, we were on stage. So, we did 2 nights of that. And I think the second night of shows, I drove Daru home to the spot he was staying at in Brooklyn. And, we were just like, yo, let's make some music together. Daru's like just a very accomplished musician. He's running around all the time. So I kind of said it almost not expecting him to follow through on it. It's just like, it's almost like a pleasantry at this point. Like you meet a fellow artist, you say, yo, let's exchange our numbers. Let's work together. Whether or not that person actually follows through on it, like 9 times out of 10, in my experience, that doesn't happen. But I remember literally I got a call from him one day and he's like, yo, I'm going to be in New York next week. I have a studio rented out. Let's work on something. And I was like, okay, let's do it. You know what I mean? Like I had no idea, like I had no idea where that was going to go, but it just clicked, man. It's like, you know, certain people you meet, you know, for all the accolades that Daru has and has accomplished of a musician as he is, like you would never know it just when you talk to him, because he's such a down to earth guy. You know what I'm saying? Like I met him.
Appreciate it, like yourself.
Exactly. Like I just, you know, there's certain people you meet in one night or 2 nights. You just like, this
click
person
off.
Just click. It's just right. And, you know, there was no BS. There was no like egos or anything involved. Like you could just tell he loves the music and wants to make, you know, great music. And I'm the same way. So we promised we were going to work together, and that's pretty much what happened, man. Like he booked the studio session. I showed up.
Yeah. I want to shout out the engineer Kayo, you know what I'm saying? It's funny, I had just met him on, so Kayo, I forgot what country he's from, but he's from overseas. He lives in New York right now, residing. And I saw him engineer, it's a venue called New Blue. It's in the Lower East Side. And every Monday they have this thing, Producers Mondays. And a good friend of mine organized that. His name is Ray Angry, plays keyboards.
Shout out to Ray Angry.
Shout out to my homie Ray Angry, you know what I'm saying? And I never forget, that night I met Kayo, you know what I'm saying? I met Kayo, and he was an engineer at New Blue, you know, and I never forget, it was dope. We just had a good vibe, and I was like, yo, I got this cat that I'm working with, you know what I'm saying? Can you get us in the studio for a couple hours? And I think later that same day I had another session with another artist. I almost mentioned him, but almost another project that I'm working with. But yeah, it was a blessing. Kayo was just so dope. I'll never forget. We had did a performance. I think during that run, we had a performance at New Blue as well. And Kayo like recorded the whole live show. And the following day, he sent us a mix, and it sounded like a CD quality. I was like, yo, this dude is ill. You know what I'm saying? And then it was just like, yo, can we? He gave me and Bobby 2 studios that it worked out of, and me and Bobby, we liked the vibe of a pinch recording studio because of the way that, you know, when you go to the website, they had a really cool, you know, backdrop. And I was like, yo, that's a spot. We got there, we tracked, and at the same time, when we performed at the Blue Note, Bobby has his entourage or his team, the people that he work with, the guy that what's the man that did the filming for us?
Matthias.
Shout out to Matthias.
Matthias at iFilm NY if you want to check him out on Instagram.
Yeah, so this is I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, not to interject. Matthias is you know, he's from Germany originally. He hosts a radio show out there. You know, just a hip hop show. He's a hip hop head. You know, he's lived in Brooklyn for a couple of years, and he's done a lot of, you know, documentary work for a bunch of different people. But you know, he's worked, you know, just documenting behind the scenes stuff for a couple different artists, and he kind of took a liking to me and started following me around to certain key shows that I was doing, you know, over the past like 2 years or so. So I would do a show like Brooklyn Bowl. He would come, he would film it. I would do a little hole in the wall spot. He would come and film it. And when I told him that I was going to work with Daru, he was like super excited. And he was like, just let me know whenever you're going to do the studio session. Like, I'd love to come film like the behind the scenes. And I let him know when he showed up, and he pretty much got everything that we did, you know, in that little window of time, you know, on camera. And, you know,
so basically, so there was 2 sessions. So the first session that we did, it was just me and Bobby. And Bobby, he's not only a dope lyricist, this cat also can do editing and filming. You know what I'm saying? Did you go to SUNY College or something like that? Like, where'd you get that skill set from?
I went to New York Film Academy for like 3 months, but it wasn't like, it wasn't like a full like tenure. I didn't like go there and like full on study. I did like a short filmmaking course, but you know, they taught me a little bit. I was already making videos before I even went there. I wanted to like kind of expand on my skill set, but for the most part, everything I've done has been, you know, out of necessity and self-taught. So it was like, I couldn't find anybody to do affordable videos. So I bought a camera and started doing them myself. You know what I mean? Like,
So yeah, so it's bugged out because Bobby's like, yo, we're going to document this video. And I'm like, who's going to shoot it? And he was like, I am. So Bobby had his camera. He had all the angles. And we did 2 studios. So basically we just did a try run. We wanted to come and do 2 songs. One of the songs we ended up, this is all on the spot. Like we just basically, you know, we wanted to pay tribute definitely to the origins of hip hop. Like one part of it, you know what I'm saying? Because we know there's a lot of different frequencies on how hip hop got to where it's at, even from the beginning. But this part of hip hop is where it was basically where the DJ would play breaks, the MC would rap. So I forgot how we came up with flow like this. I don't know if I was like, if we heard something and I started playing the beat, but Bobby, he just like, yo, I was just sound checking. And Bobby was like, yo, I got some lyrics to that. And that ended up being the first joint. It was called Flow Like This. Then the second track that we did, we call it a Gangstar Salute, and it's a tribute to one of my favorite songs off of Daily Operation, Take It Personal. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And just the way Premier crafted that beat, I was like, it would be dope. And the crazy thing is, the place that I was staying, a good friend of mine, Gabriella Riley, she's an amazing vocalist. You know what I'm saying? I think she's originally from Brazil, and she was bringing me the keys to the spot where I was going to be crashing at, right? Mm-hmm. And she just stuck around. Yeah. She stuck around, and I was like, yo, why don't you turn your vocal to like an instrument and just do it? This all happened organically.
It just fell into place, man. Like that's what was so dope about this. And I feel like, you know, people got to understand the context of this project before they listen to it, because you know, people got to understand like what we're going for here. You know, this was something we went into the studio with no idea where we were going to end up. You know what I'm saying? Like, we literally were like, we had no, I knew that working with Daru and the type of stuff that inspires me, I was like, look, I want this to be almost like a jam session, you know, caught on tape. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, if it's just a drummer and it's just me and a drummer, let's make it sound like that. Let's make it sound like we're performing it in front of you. You know what I mean?
Exactly,
like,
exactly.
No bells and whistles, no extra musicians. Like, he's gonna sit in there, he's gonna come up with his own break beats, and then it's almost like he's passing the ball to me, and I'm gonna have to, you know, come up with something to go over it. And the thing that was so dope about it is Kayo, as an engineer, and I'm glad you brought him up, Daru, he understood that from an engineering perspective, because I told him, I was like, yo, I don't want you to over compress these vocals. I don't want you to add any crazy effects. Like, I want this to sound sonically as close to a live performance as it possibly can. You know what I'm saying? Like, he did
with the hip hop, but with the hip hop overtone, like when you hear breaks, because it's a challenge, not to cut you off, Bobby, but it's a challenge for engineers to mix organic live drums like breaks, because of when those guys recorded those tracks, like, say for instance, like Clyde Stubblefield, rest in peace, Clyde, he played with James Brown. Like, that stuff was recorded in an era where sometimes they just had a couple microphones, if I'm not mistaken. And that room sound, what they got was just so dope. Yeah. And I was like, yo, we know that you're micing everything up, but we still wanted it to sound like a break. So big shout out to Kayo for giving us the sound where it actually sounds like these could have came from breaks from albums.
Exactly.
So yeah, just to coincide with what you were saying. And just to piggyback too, so we went in to do the first 2 tracks. We put the studio videos out, and we got a lot of good response. And I was just like, yo, we need to make this a full album. And I was like, let me let you know when I'm coming back in town. Let Bobby know when I was coming back in town. And we just scheduled one more day, and we knocked out the rest of the project, which it ended up becoming 18 tracks in total. And basically, this will be like talking breaks. That was inspired off of, like, shout out to Pete Rock, is one of my favorite producers. I actually played with Pete Rock, but when you listen to Pete Rock and CL Smooth albums, they would have these interludes in between every song, and sometimes the interludes would be almost better than the track. I was just like, yo, it'd be dope if we could just make the breaks the interlude and we just talk. You know what I'm saying? Like, do like little commercials. because I missed that era. You know, I remember in the 90s, everybody had skits on their projects. You know what I'm saying? When you got Wu-Tang Clan's record or NWA or the skits is what make the albums. I was like, yo, let's take it back. We'll make our own little skit to set up the next joint. And that's pretty much what happened. So that last session we did, we cut all the remainder of the interludes and the tracks in that day. And some of the songs that we did, I was like, yo, I like this thing from George Clinton record, or Bobby had a tune that he had already did. And he was like, let's make something like this. And then some of the stuff we just sound checking. And Bobby was like, yo, I got lyrics to that. And that became a song.
Yeah, man. Like, and just to add to what Daru was saying, like, it was literally like hot potato. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would say, why don't you make something with like this kind of energy? And he would sit there, you know, he would come up with something, you know, he would lay it down in 1 or 2 takes, and then it would basically be like, all right, your turn. You know what I mean? Like, what are you going to do with it? And it was like I've said to you, Daru, before, it was like the easiest / hardest project I ever had to make, because I felt like you kept me on my toes the entire time while we were doing it. But, you know, everything just happened so quickly. It's like, he would lay something down, you know, I would get in the booth, I would try my best to get something out in 1 or 2 takes. And then, you know, Kyle would do a rough mix, and then we go right to the next track. So, you know, it's literally like, it was literally like us just, you know, like I said, a jam session. You know what I'm saying?
Now that I can remember, your time was limited because you had something else you had to go to. So we literally had to cut the session. Like, we literally only had time to do what we did in that one session. You had a birthday party, something that you was going to afterwards?
I think it was my birthday. I think the second session we did, I'm trying to remember the timeline.
I think it was your birthday. Yeah, it was. I think it was your birthday.
And it was and side note, I walk in there, it's my birthday, and my girl's got something planned for me, right?
That's what it was.
I'm on like a time constraint, and I walk in, and the first person I see when I walk into the studio is Pharoah Monch. And I'm like,
that's why I had the session with Pharoah.
And I'm like, what? You know what I mean? Like, and I'm trying to play it cool, but I was like, what's up, man? And you know, Daru comes out, he's like, oh, it's your birthday, right? And Pharoah Monch wished me a happy birthday. And it's like, this is weird. You know what I mean? So that was crazy. But yeah, man, it's just, again, like I like to say the real inspiration behind this project is just, you know, I think a lot of modern music is very overproduced. You know, whether you're talking about pop music, hip hop music, R&B, whatever it is, like, you get the right engineer in there, you know, you can make someone who can't sing sound like they could sing. You can make somebody who's offbeat sound like they're on beat.
And it's not genuine
either. It's not genuine. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can punch in as many times as you want. And I wanted the performances, at least my vocal performances on this album. And of course, what Daru did with the drums to be something that sounds like we could duplicate it live in front of you. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's perfections in the imperfections. You know, there's definitely lines where it sounds like I might be almost running out of breath. You know what I'm saying? But that's okay, because that's what it sounds like when somebody's rapping. You know what I mean? And you don't really hear that on record. Everything is so perfect.
Polished.
You're getting the most polished, perfect take. And you know, I just, when I think of the classic records I listen to, you know, whether it's like a Billie Holiday song or MC Shan or some shit that Marley produced back in the day, like, there's those little idiosyncrasies and imperfections that add character and flavor to the music. And I think that's really like the essence of what we were trying to find with this project. You know what I mean?
I know Max was like, yo, can I get a question in?
Yeah, I know.
Max, we took this and ran with it.
I know. It's very interesting. And I want to ask you, Daru, how do you feel as Bobby J as an MC? What do you think about him?
Yo, he's
whack.
He's
trash.
Nah. Bobby's one of the sharpest out there. One of the sharpest dudes out there in the game today. You know what I'm saying? I was very impressed when we did the show at the Blue Note. Like, when he came to the rehearsal, he wasn't intimidated. He put his best he came in there like we had already been knowing, and we had been practicing for years. So he stood up to the plate. That's what really impressed me. And then when we got to, when we performed live, like I said, on a documentary, Bobby, he's like a musician on a microphone. Like he complimented what we were doing. When we went low with the dynamics, he went low, and he's been doing this. You can just tell with the wordplay, he was very confident. And I think it's a challenge for somebody to not work together and have lyrics to bring something and match it with beats that he's never done. Like, that take a special person to do that. So that was Bobby's challenge, and he came with it. You know what I'm saying? The music that we did didn't intimidate him. He didn't have a lot of time to figure out if it was going to work. He made it work. He made his lyrics flow, and that was very impressive to me. Very impressive. So Bobby's definitely one of the best out there. You know what I'm saying? Dude, and he's been doing this for a while too. He's worked with Kwame and some of the best of them. So check him out. He not a new. He's been doing this thing for a minute. Yep.
Hey man, likewise, man.
Breath of fresh air.
Definitely.
I don't even know what to say to that. This is somebody who's worked with everyone from Jack White to Nas to Gloria Gaynor, man. So I'm just happy for the opportunity, man. Honestly,
like they say, real recognize real. You know what I'm saying? So it was just that's why we're here today. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
What else you got, Max?
Daru, what was your reaction when you heard Bobby J's verse on Lullaby, him flipping Big L's 98 freestyle?
Yo, it was bugged out because when we were in the studio, sometimes Bobby would rap me his whole verse, and I would have to figure out what to play on top of what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? Which was my challenge. Like, I think Lullaby might have been that track that he freestyled, and I was like, dang, it's so hard body. Like, what am I gotta come with something, and I just thought of something that matched it. Yeah, it was very impressive when you dissect Bobby's his lines. Very, very crafty. You know what I'm saying? And what I like about it, it's not corny. You know what I'm saying? Like it fits, and he also pays respect to the people that came before him, which is very important, because that's the whole vibe of this project. We wanted to introduce, because you have the new school cast that they don't even know nothing about breaks. No, they just know about the tracks.
They don't care to know about it.
So it was very important for us to kind of anchor this project, to kind of pass the baton and let people know this is still here, and hopefully we did the job. You know what I'm saying? Time will tell. Yep.
Bobby J, what made you choose to flip that line, Big L's 98 freestyle? What made you choose that verse out of every hip hop verse in history?
You know what? I really don't know if I have like a clear answer for that. I just remember writing the song, and it just kind of turned out that way. Like, usually when I record, the hardest, like, I don't physically write the lyrics down anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm more or less get the lines out as they come to me. So usually the first line is the hardest one. And once I get that out, it's kind of like, all right, let me take myself on this journey and see where it goes. And I just remember, how's the verse start off? It goes, first of all, I'm all about command and respect. See, I'm from Queens, but never was a fan of the Mets. And that's kind of a true line. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have friends that are Mets fans. I never really cared about baseball, so it just went there. And I was like, and I'm all about expanding my checks. Like, it just, the way it connected, I knew that I could make it parallel to what L was saying, and that the real heads who listened to him growing up the way I did, they would recognize that, and they would understand that was an allusion to that verse. You know what I'm saying? Like, and at the same time, the younger people that aren't familiar with him, they could listen to that, think it's dope, and maybe they'll discover that verse, or they'll be listening to Big L one day and be like, wait, like, Bobby said something similar to this. So a lot of times, like, I'll put Easter eggs or like pepper, references to stuff that I grew up on, whether it's music or movies or TV or whatever. I like to give people a taste of like what my interests are in my music. You know what I'm saying? And I try not to make it so blatantly obvious. Like, I try to make it subtle enough so that the people in the know. Some people it's going to fly over their heads. Some people it's going to register on the 10th or 100th listen. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, that's what makes something great, is when you can go back and listen to it and discover something that you never noticed on the first go around. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's, you know, if you listen to a great hip hop record, you listen to a great record in general, you know, there's layers to stuff. And, you know, I always want people to be hearing new things when they put on the music. So, you know, I'm glad that you realize that. But, you know, I'm sure there's some people that are around your age or younger that never even heard those rhymes before, you know, wouldn't even know that is an allusion to that. So salute to you for even, you know, doing your research and knowing where that's from.
You know, I'm not listening to that garbage out there. You can't even make it out. you know that already.
Dang,
there's such a disconnect between the younger audience nowadays and what they're listening to when you turn on the radio in that car. When I hear it, I can't turn it off fast enough. But how come there aren't a lot of people out there, artists, who aren't interested in what you guys did, put a project like this that pays homage to all the pioneers that came before them? And Daru, you could chime in on this as well. This is more of a question geared towards you because you've been in the game for a long time.
Can you say that question one more time?
How come there's no one in the younger audience that has done what you've done? Making an album or a project is what you call this, basically paying homage to pioneers that came before them.
That's a good question. I mean, maybe somebody did it and we haven't heard about it. So kudos. But I just think that right now we living in a climate where it's just a people, they see what you do. Everybody just kind of copying off what they see, what works for one person. They see what people are getting paid from. And that's what people are doing. It's like nobody's really, it's some people are, as far as a young up and coming generation. I think we have to be that example. You know what I'm saying? To show people how they did it back in the days. Like them cats, they went deep inside for concepts. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody wanted to be original.
Yep.
Because if you were caught biting on any level, you got approached. You know what I'm saying? And that was from fashion, the way you sound. And so, like I said, I just think that right now everybody's kind of, especially with the pandemic, nobody's performing live. You know what I'm saying? So everybody's trying to find ways to be creative, but they also, a lot of people, they're not going within to see if they can find something organic. They just seeing what works for this person. Oh, you a live DJ? Let me put my Cash App and let me just, you know what I'm saying? They may not even be nice, you know what I'm saying? But they just see that works for the other person. So I think that's a problem. I just think if you are inspired by what somebody else do, just see how you can take what they done and flip it and make it your own. You know what I'm saying? So I just think that, you know, hopefully that answers your question. I just think that's the reason everybody's just trying to keep their lights on at this point. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like,
I think you know, just to add to what Daru's saying, like when you look at artists that came out in the 90s or the 80s, or even fans of that era, like as a little kid, I was buying the albums and reading the liner notes. So I was looking at, I love this song sampled this song, and then I would go check out the source material. So I was building a foundation for myself. And then, you know, when you think about the artists and the producers that existed in that time period, they had to have a strong foundation themselves because they're sampling records that are 30 years before them, you know, 40 years before them. So, you know, you're talking about producers that were digging in the crates and, you know, sourcing vinyl. You know what I'm saying? It's not like today where, I mean, you can't listen to every new record that came out last Friday, you know, if you had all the time in the world. So it's like young kids are bombarded with an insane amount of music. I don't think that
it's quantity over quality.
Yeah, I don't think the importance of going back in time and understanding the foundation of the music you like is really stressed on them.
Yeah.
It's more or less, you know, this is right now, this is what I'm interested in. You know, if I'm trying to be an artist myself, I'm looking at the other people that are popping and I'm trying to either emulate or build on what they're doing. So there's a serious disconnect just in the digital streaming age that I feel, you know, died when people stopped purchasing physical, you know, copies of records. You know what I'm saying? Because half of the fun for me was buying an album from an artist I liked and, you know, wanting to know who produced it, wanting to know what it sampled, wanting to know where it was recorded, who engineered it. You know, that type of thing is a relic of the past. You know what I mean? Like you really have to dig to even know any of that stuff now. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know who produces these new records, like unless you Google it, you know. But people are too lazy to do that. So for us, you know, again, like just to circle back to this project, I think this is something that's needed. You know, this is for the heads, this is for the DJs, this is for the producers, the people that
A reminder.
Yeah, a reminder of you know what hip hop should be sounding like. And again, you know, this is our gift, man. Like we want people to take this record and chop it up and sample it. And
not to cut you off, Bobby, just to add into that, something else to add. So I want to shout out our brother, Breakbeat Lou. You hip to Breakbeat Lou?
No, I'm not.
Oh man, see.
Oh my God, that's an issue.
I gotta learn on it. I gotta learn about it.
So Breakbeat is one of the, and I hope I'm getting the story right, Bob. You can interject if I'm getting it wrong. Matter of fact, you can tell Breakbeat Lou's story if you want to, just so you know that we.
So I could be mistaken, but Breakbeat Lou, and he also had a partner, and he passed away, and I'm forgetting his name. So I'm sorry about that I'm not remembering his name off the top of the head. But prior to Breakbeat Lou, producers used to have to source whatever sample they were looking for from the actual record store. If they wanted to sample James Brown, they had to go buy a James Brown album. You know what I'm saying? But Breakbeat Lou, what him and his partner did that was so monumental was they assembled pretty much like all the great samples that were being used in hip hop at the time and put them on one record, so that anybody, like if you were looking for like Impeach the President or the Amen break or the Skull Snaps or whatever, you didn't have to go and physically find that album. You could just buy Ultimate Breaks and Beats and all the necessary, like literally like the survival kit of samples was on this vinyl. So he really changed the game because he put all the necessary drum loops on one vinyl for all the producers to sample. So once that happened, it was like a free for all. You know what I'm saying? And
so basically, to make the long story short, why I want to talk about Breakbeat Lou is because how many times can somebody sample Impeach the President drums? You heard that and the funky drummer. You know what I'm saying? You hear that break on everything. So what we did was, because I think that's another reason why people may not have approached doing a record like this, because it's like, yo, how many times can we hear these breaks that's already been out, you know what I'm saying, be recycled and done again? So that might be a reason why people haven't done it. But so with this record, it's like, okay, how can we make our own breaks live and also pay tribute to like Jay Dilla, you know, the producer from Detroit, Michigan that passed away. He had a certain swag on his drums, you know what I'm saying? So although the way that he produces his patterns were a tribute to like Bernard Purdy, the way that they played, sometimes they made a mistake on the recordings and they just left them, they didn't fix it. But Dilla took it further and he made this glitchy type of, you know what I'm saying, stuttered, you know what I'm saying? So that's what made hopefully what's making our project different from just sampling Impeach the President drums. I made my own breaks. So now I'm making a whole new category of breaks. When we come out with the instrumentals, hopefully people will sample that, and then that will become like the new, you know what I'm saying, funky drummer, or you know what I'm saying, what they did back in the day that can't be done. You know what I'm saying? We have to move it forward and come up with a whole new vocabulary and catalog of breaks. And you know what? It's funny because that terminology break, it really came from records. When the artist recorded, they would always give the drummer, like they would get a drummer song in those songs. You know what I'm saying? They always gave the drummers and percussionists, and that's what became a break. You had to wait until you got to that particular song of the breakdown. So the unique thing about this is these are, you know, what me and Bobby J made, they didn't come from no song. They just came from ideas that we just made up. And some of the things that we were inspired and we may have nicked, you know, swag jack an ideal, but that's the difference between like these modern breaks and what was done before. So that's what I wanted to add to that question, and hopefully you answered it.
Anything else, Bobby? Did you have to add anything to Daru's point?
Nah, man, just, I think that also speaks to the point I brought up before. It's like the perfections and the imperfections, when he talks about, guys like Dilla being inspired by drummers that came before him that would leave like quote unquote mistakes in songs. And that would be the thing you remembered about it. You know what I'm saying? Like just the little imperfections and idiosyncrasies, that's what we're striving for. And, the beautiful thing about this album, and the beautiful thing about hip hop in general, is like, taking something and making it your own. And we laid our own little foundation with this project. We hope people enjoy it, but what we really hope happens is that it lives on through the work of other people. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to hear how some producers take what Daru did and flip it into their own drums. You know what I'm saying? I want to hear people take what we did and expand on it. I feel like sampling and working with other people's music is so discouraged at this point, just because of the legal issues you run into.
Right.
But
right on those.
But we're literally putting out an album saying, like, do with this what you will. Like, we want to see what you can make happen with this project. You know what I mean? So this is just, what we did is just step one. You know what I mean? We made a fun project, a fun album, if you want to call it that. But this is something that could live on through the work of other people. And I think that's what is really the cool thing about it. You know what I mean? And I can't put my finger on any other projects or works in the past couple of years that have really, tried to do that or came out saying like, yo, like I actually want you to sample my work.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what we did this for. Like, really, it's a love letter to the DJs and the producers
yep.
and even the MCs out there that want to take, the interludes and stuff that are just bare instrumentals and rhyme over them. And we're going to have an instrumental vinyl coming out soon too. So it kind of hits all the different bases, you know what I mean? And as a hip hop fan, this is something that I wanted to see done for a long time. And, I'm glad that I could be a part of it,
Bobby J, I don't mean to interrupt you. It says that we have less than a minute, but there was a couple other things I wanted to touch on. Is it possible that you guys can log back into the same meeting because it ends? And then restart it? Yeah, because I'm going to restart it because it gives you a 40-minute limit or whatever. So
yeah, no problem.
Restart it, and then we'll resume.
No problem. I'm just gonna.
That give me time to retweet the that we on.
Let me just run and grab a drink real quick, and I'll be right back.
All right. Yeah, the meeting, it's gonna end on its own, so then we'll just restart it.
Okay. Cool. Later.
Cool.
Yo.
All right, we're back on. So now we get a little bit more time here because I wasn't finished. So we'll just.
It's all good, man. I saw the timer counting down, and I was like, damn, like I'm enjoying this conversation.
Yeah, I know. They limit you sometimes.
Yeah, man. Are you still live right now?
Yeah, we're still live. Don't worry about that. Yeah, we're live.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, man. But Daru's a real, interesting dude, man. There's, he's played with everybody.
Slum Village, Nas, Pete Rock.
I'm just happy to be here, man. You should just ask him about, his experiences working with Jack White, and I think he played the Illmatic concert anniversary with Nas.
Yeah, I saw the vinyl in the background.
Yeah, and I say that because I'm just a fan. Like, there's certain things, like we went live the other day, and there was so many things like I just wanted to ask him, like just as a fan, that I didn't even get to really find out about. I mean, he came up in the Detroit music scene. He's got a lot of experience under his belt. So, you should definitely go into like his accomplishments because, for me, like this is a huge step up for me in my career. But, to be working with somebody like him is crazy. I can't think of he's like the, outside of maybe like a Questlove, like he's like the go-to drummer in hip hop. He worked with Pharaoh, he works with Slum Village. Like it's crazy, man.
What separates him from everyone else that you've worked with in the game? Kwame, Static Selecta, and countless others, Little Fame, of course. What separates him from everyone else?
Well, I mean, it's totally different. My like just the process in general when I'm like, if I'm working with Kwame, very rarely is he sending me a beat. You know what I'm saying? Like, we'll usually get in the studio and we'll bounce ideas off each other. He'll he'll make something up on the spot, you know, and we'll create the song from scratch together. Someone like a Static, I'm in the studio and I'm listening to 200 beats that I'm trying to narrow down to 20 that I'm going to narrow down to 5. You know what I'm saying? That's like the hardest thing in the world to do. Just when you're listening to so much music that's just consistently good. You know what I mean? It's like you have to have a real ear for what you're going to sound over as opposed to just what you like. You know what I'm saying? And then with Daru, it was just so like, I had never worked with like a real trained musician, like classically trained musician before. You know what I'm saying? Like he grew up in the church. He comes from a real strict like Pentecostal background. He was taught by the book. And then if you look at his drum style now, it's almost like he rejected the things that he was taught growing up and how to drum. You know what I'm saying? Like they teach you how to do something by the book. And then he comes up with his own style that's like polar opposite of that.
It surpasses it.
So just being in the studio with him, like it was crazy because everything was so sporadic and on the spot. Even more so than like something like I do with Kwame, you know, it was like, you know, he would come up with a break in 30 seconds and be like, you like that? And I'd be like, yes, I like that. That shit is dope as hell. And then he would lay it down and then 10 minutes later I'd be in the booth. So it was like, it was rapid fire, man. Like I've never had my skills put to the test in that way before. You know what I mean? So it was definitely it was great because I feel like it was almost like boot camp. You know what I'm saying? Like if I was to go into the studio with somebody and have to perform like on the spot, I'm confident that I could do it. Like I always thought about that. Like, you know, I like writing at home. I like, you know, I like having my own time to work on my stuff, but that studio session really taught me, you know, that I may not always have the luxury of being able to go home and work on something. Like if there's going to be times in my career where I'm forced to perform on the spot. And I think that was like, that session was like boot camp. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to be able and ready to go, you know, at the drop of a dime, because you never know what opportunity is going to present itself. So that was definitely a very valuable, not only a fun experience, but a valuable experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah, tell me, how difficult was it rapping over a real musician's drum loops instead of getting an ordinary beat?
Look, I mean, the difference is, is Daru in the room too? Is he here?
Not yet.
Okay. The difference is, you know, it's a human. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like when you're rapping over somebody who makes a beat on a drum machine, and the beat is quantized, and it's, you know, it's the exact same rhythm every bar. It's different than when you're rapping, you know, to an actual live human being playing the drums. You know what I'm saying? Like if it's a drum machine, you set the tempo and you quantize the drums, and, you know, it's a set rhythm. You know what I'm saying? But if it's a human being playing, there's always going to be things are always going to be slightly off. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, you may have to modify your flow, you know, every 3 or 4 bars. You know what I'm saying? You have to kind of get in tune with that person that's playing, because it's just different. It doesn't matter how good the engineer is, how they line it up, what the grid is like. You know, it's a noticeable difference when you're rapping over a live human being playing versus a drum machine. And that's not a bad thing. It's just it brings a whole new element. It brings a whole new element to the music. You know what I'm saying? So it definitely kept me on my toes. And again, like I said, it was a huge learning experience. It was great. You know, I'd never experienced anything like that before, and it gave me a new perspective. And like I said, it was like preparation, and it's prepared me for the future. You know what I'm saying? If I'm ever in a situation where I need to perform on the spot, you know, I'll be less nervous this time, because it's like I've been there before.
And Daru is back in the building here with us.
What up? What it do? I'm on 20% juice. I was trying to get my charges, so hopefully we can make it through. We can make it through.
I'm sure we will. I'm sure we will. And Bobby J was telling me before, I know amongst of all the great performances that you've had during your career, you did the concert for Nas for the anniversary of Illmatic. What was that experience like?
Man, it was surreal. You know what I'm saying? Like, I grew up on this album. Just to be able to have the opportunity to play this live was just so bugged out. You know what I'm saying? And it was an amazing experience. Shout out to Derek Hodge, amazing bass player, musician. You know, him and I think it was Jason Moran, another amazing one of our legendary musicians that's out. I think they were organizing it, and then I got the opportunity. It was so cool, man. Like, Nas was the chillest person. He was so chill, you know what I'm saying? Like, just like how he is on the records. Like, he was just real easygoing and chill, and it was a surreal moment, you know what I'm saying? To play this music that I grew up to, and it's an amazing experience. I'll never forget it. There was a couple things. I had a couple of challenges because it was my first time playing with an orchestra, which is a whole nother ball game. You know what I'm saying? Because you have the using the wand, and it's a whole timing thing, because it's like when you watch kung fu movies, the guy talks and there's a delay. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's the same thing when you watching the conductor. He's moving it. It's like a delay. So and then we had some challenges too with the volumes, because the orchestra, the drums are just a loud instrument. Period. You put the microphones in the drums, they're gonna crush everything. So just trying to adjust with playing dynamically with the orchestra, that was a challenge. But overall, I'm thankful that I've done that. Shout out to Nasty Nas, you know what I'm saying, still out there doing his thing. And shout out to DJ Green Lantern, you know what I'm saying. Shout out to him as well. So it was a dope experience. Yep.
Is Illmatic the greatest hip hop album of all time in your opinion?
One of them.
Where does it rank on your top list?
Ooh.
Wait, what's your top five? I want to know Daru's top five.
Yeah, I want to know.
Oh, yeah.
Top five hip hop albums.
Oh, yeah. They put me on the spot. Ooh. I gotta pass on that question because I gotta think about that one. But it's definitely, if not top 5, top 10 for sure. Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Tell me about working with Slum Village.
Okay.
Yeah, tell me about working with them.
Yeah, that was an amazing experience. Similar to like Nas, just being able to be on stage, playing things that I was a fan of. Same thing I'll never forget. I actually got the opportunity at the time I was living in Pittsburgh, PA. And I'll never forget, I was in the scene, moving and shaking, making moves. And there was a band coming in town. They needed a drummer. I got the recommendation because I made a name for myself. And they were just like, yo, I got this kid Daru, he can learn your music at the last minute. You know what I'm saying? Not knowing the keyboardist was Slum Village music director, MD. That's what they call him, like MD, music director. And at that time, I think Slum, they were only using keyboards, and they had DJ Dez. Shout out to Dez from the D. He was a DJ, and sometimes Dez would rock percussions and play drums, not through the whole set, but then Ab would rock keys. So at the Dilla transition 2006, Slum, they wanted to turn a new chapter. You know what I'm saying? And they wanted to start performing certain festivals, Essence Festival, and certain festivals where you need a live band. And Ab was like, yo, I got the perfect drummer. So brought me in late 2006. I became the Slum Village. I wish I had been around when Dilla, was in the mix, but it was an amazing experience just playing records that I loved, that I was a fan of. You know what I'm saying? And Dilla was in his prime. Unfortunately, he passed away, but it was just such an honor to play that stuff live. So that's how that came about. Yeah.
What's a song that gave you goosebumps that you were able to play live, of something that you grew up with?
Fall in Love. You know what I'm saying? Like,
love that song.
That record is crazy. Like, I never forget when. So the flip part about it is, even with Jay Dilla as a producer, I came in on the late side because he produced records that I didn't realize he was a composer. You know what I'm saying? Because when I got influenced to the East Coast producers like Premier and Pete Rock, I was all East Coast out. You know what I'm saying? But I never forget when I heard Stakes is High. Shout out to De La Soul. Yep. I didn't even know Jay at the time. I think he was JD. You know what I'm saying? And he had produced several records, and I was like, yo. When I found out he was producer of those records, like Mad Skills was another record that I heard, and I realized he was the songs that I liked on Mad Skills record. He was the producer. Same thing with Tribe. So it wasn't until later I was like, oh, that's the same. And he was from like my neck of the woods. You know what I'm saying? And growing up in up north in Michigan, it was just like, yo, it was crazy. You know what I'm saying? So definitely to answer your question, Fall in Love was one of my favorite cuts, at least from that record. You know what I'm saying? That record was classic.
You never got to meet Dilla, right?
I saw him twice. I remember seeing him. I remember when Gangstar came out with the Owners, they were on tour with Floetry. Floetry had just came out, the female singer. Mm-hmm. It was Floetry, Gangstar, and Common. Electric Circus had just came out, and they were all on tour together. And then they came to Detroit to perform. And I'll never forget, they did The Ownerless, which is the track on Common. It was on Common's record, and it was on Slum Village record. They brought Dilla out. I saw him live, and I was like, yo, it was bugged out to see him live. And I saw him in another setting too, but I didn't get a chance to like shake his hand and you know all of that. Like, but I'm glad I got to see him live and see him the time that I did.
Yeah. You've also worked with Pete Rock. What did you make of his new album with Camp Low?
That joint is funky. You know what I'm saying? I got the first project I worked with Pete on. He had a project he did with Smoke DZA called "Don't Smoke Rock." I don't know if are you familiar with that record?
What was that? It was that back in 2016.
It might have been the end of 2017.
Okay.
Or you might be right. It might be 2016. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I'm really cool at the time. I think Fat Gary.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if y'all familiar with the
Fat shout Gary. Out to Fat Gary.
Shout out to Fat Gary. You know what I'm saying? He was a part of the Gangstar Foundation. You know what I'm saying? He used to manage DJ Premier, and I think he had started working with Pete Rock, and Pete was having problems, issues with clearing samples, and I think Gary might have recommended me. You know what I'm saying? Because I had built a relationship with Fat Gary, and he was like, "Yo, I got the perfect." And I had and my business manager that I was working with at the time, Daniel Evans. I think I got the recommendations, and they had to turn this record in quick. You know what I'm saying? It was like literally a month later, and people they know I just built a reputation of, you know, being able to be like this workhorse and provide you with a service quickly. You know what I'm saying, on a return tip. So I got the recommendation from Gary, and he gave, and I've actually shared stage with Pete before some years back through a concert. We did a tribute concert or a salute concert to him through a Revive the Live. We had played his catalog with the live band. I seen Pete, and then we also did the Noisemakers event with Peter Rosenberg. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but Peter Rosenberg had these events called Noisemakers, and basically he would take. It was like a talk show, and they held it at the 92 Whites Rebecca. They did one. The first one we did was Premiere, and they basically had two chairs on the stage. Premiere, and Peter Rosenberg would interview the whoever he was featuring. They had one for Pete Rock. I met him then, and they had the band that would perform music from the catalog. So I think Pete had been seeing, you know, my name around. But anyway, the opportunity came, and I put together a band to recreate those samples live. I got the band called the Royal Pharaohs, which I'm a member of and the music director for. It was a band put together with half the musicians are from Nashville and half of the musicians were from New York. You know what I'm saying? And we toured with a guy by Jamie Liddell. And basically, I brought those guys in to come replay the samples. I made a representation, and me and Pete stayed in touch. And I think a part of my deal, it was for Pete to give me a verse and Smoke DZA to give me a verse. So I got to get those favors. But anyway, Pete wanted to start, you know, I think they have this thing every year called Winter Jazz Festival that happens in New York. And I think Pete Rock was asked to perform, and to make a long story short, there was recommendations on who to put in a band, and I was one of the first recommendations because I'm the music director. People know that I know all these different musicians. And to make a long story short, I got the opportunity to be his music director, also be a catalyst for giving him the musicians on who to put in the band. So we've been together for 2 years. We played at the Blue Note. You know what I'm saying? We also played Summer Stage, and now we're in the process of, we finished his third installment of Peachmentals, which will come out soon. And basically he had the band go back in the studio and we play the stuff live. So that's my relationship. Shout out to Pete Rock, you know what I'm saying? The legendary Pete Rock, you know what I'm saying? So that's how that came about. Yep. Yep.
From here, would you guys make another project, you and Bobby J?
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is only volume 1. You know what I'm saying?
I would love to, man. I would love to. But
yeah,
I would like to make a real. I would like to make a full album. You know, like for us to sit down and really make an album. You know what I'm saying? Like something where, Daru's drums were a component. You know, maybe add in someone like, I'd love to have Borum work with us. You know, have other musicians come in and really just, expand on what we did initially, like not take away from what we've done, you know what I'm saying? Because I think people like the rawness of what this project is, but I want to make music with Daru as long as he's willing to make music. You know?
Yeah, I'm down too. Yeah, so we hoping that this will start I won't say like a movement, because that's what people, but we just hope that we can inspire the next generation, up and coming youth that didn't get it, that missed out on that golden era of some of the beginnings of this part of hip hop, where the breaks, the DJ would get the breaks and the MCs, and it goes back into like when you watch the BET Awards and they would have the cypher. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? They have Premier just playing breaks, and basically back in the days, if you couldn't freestyle, you weren't considered like, you know what I'm saying, a true MC. So Bobby J is bringing that element back. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Just being able to, although most of the stuff that we did were written, even Bobby's talking voice sound like he rapping. So he's always freestyling when he talks. You know what I'm saying?
Kind of, not really, but kind of.
I have a question for Daru. Yeah. And Bobby, of course, you can chime in on this as an MC, being an MC yourself. What the hell happened to the art of hip hop with this generation out here? What happened to it?
There's some pros and cons. The pros is hip hop grew. You know what I'm saying? It grew, and you have your different styles of hip hop. Just like in jazz, you have your smooth jazz, which is like your Kenny G. You know what I'm saying? You're chilling with the shorty. Then you have your straight ahead jazz, which is your swing stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like Miles Davis, that type of vibe. So the same thing with hip hop, it grew. So now you have the trap hip hop, you know what I'm saying, which is a certain Southern style, you know what I'm saying? And then you have your new school. But I think right now the downfall is hip hop it became mainstream, and I don't think it's enough. It's not a balance to me. I don't think it's a balance, or that's being brought to the radio standpoint, because I think you have this beat community like in LA, where you have like Mad Lib, you have the Knowledge, you know what I'm saying, the DiBiase's, and then you have a beat community in New York. I just think that the radio stations, they're only really playing the top 40s or what's popular. So I just think that they're not shining a light on all of the different variety. Like in the 90s, underground, that was the thing. You know what I'm saying? That particular East Coast sound, and then you had your West Coast vibe. So it was an even balance. And I feel like the West Coast vibe was kind of like a mix of, I just think the South is its own thing, because I'm thinking about like the Hot Boys, and when Master P came out, that was a whole different vibe, you know what I'm saying? And now everything is like EDM, you know what I'm saying? But thankfully we have some people that's bringing it back to the forefront. Like you got Kendrick Lamar that's using the live musicians, and they fusion it together. And there's some other people out there I'm drawing a blank on. But Bob, you want to chime in this question too?
Yeah. I look at it like, hip hop is always going to be, the pendulum's always going to shift in the way that young hip hop fans want it to go. And I'm never going to be the old man in his rocking chair saying that's, you know, that's not hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Because
that's me.
Look, because, well, just to contextualize it, you got to look at it like this. When KRS-One and Public Enemy was out, there was people that grew up on Motown and said, you know, that's not Smokey Robinson. Like, what is this? This is noise. And I don't ever want to be the guy that wags his finger at somebody that's trying to do something new. I look at it like, don't judge a fish for how it climbs a tree. You know, I make a particular brand of hip hop. You know what I'm saying? I grew up on the Nas and the Jay-Z's and the Big Puns and the Eminems and the Black Thoughts. And, you know, like I grew up on super lyrical rappers. So that's the type of stuff that inspired me. That's the type of music I make. And I feel like a lot of people make snap judgments about what I'm going to think about new stuff based on the type of music that I make. And honestly, am I a fan of certain artists? Like, am I a fan of all the new stuff? Do I know all the new artists that are out, and am I buying their records? No. Does that mean that I don't? Does that mean I don't like it? I don't really know. I mean, I don't know a lot. There's a lot of stuff just goes in one ear out the other. A lot of stuff I just honestly don't even know about. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know Travis Scott is the biggest artist in the world. I probably know like 2 or 3 records, and that's not like me dissing him. It's just I've never sought it out. So I really have no idea. Like, I'm not going to be the dude that sits here and be like, yo, dude's a whack, like F mumble rap, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's, I don't want to be that guy, because I understand that the focal point isn't the same as the type of music that I'm making. The type of music I'm making is, I want you to hear what I'm saying. I want you to understand what I'm saying. I want you to, you know, I want you to absorb the lyrics and understand that, like, I'm essentially standing before you saying, I'm nice. I want you to know I'm nice. And, you know, that's what's important to me. Whereas, you know, somebody like, you know, a Young Thug or whoever, you know, whoever you want to throw in there, you know, artist A, B, or C, whoever you want to fill in the blanks with, their focal point may be, I'm doing a festival in front of 100,000 people, and I want to make the type of records that make people jump up and down and scream at the top of their lungs. You know what I'm saying? And standing there spitting a bunch of rhymes isn't going to do it. You know, they have those catchy hooks. They have those melodies. They make the type of records that make, you know, college kids want to have a good time. And honestly,
I don't have a good time.
Look, and I get where you're coming from. Don't think I'm trying to, you know, like counter your point.
No, not at all.
My thing is there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with hip hop music that people can have a good time to, that people can party to, because you have to remember, hip hop started in the party. You know what I'm saying? The original hip hop records were not rock him. It was call and response stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like the original MCs were essentially the DJs. You know, you look up guys like Grandmaster Flowers, guys that were, you know, literally invented to throw your hands in the air and wave them like you just don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like, that came from the DJs. Like, so people got to understand where this culture came from. Like, it came from the party. People wanted to dance and have a good time. And there was an evolution that took place, you know, from the, you know, the original MCs to guys like Melly Mel, to guys like Grandmaster Caz, to guys like Rakim. Like, people didn't come out just saying super lyrical shit. So, you know, as a fan of lyrical hip hop, I understand that, you know, not everything is going to be the super serious thing. Like, there's got to be a balance. And back to what Daru was saying is, the problem is when you only hear one type of thing. You know what I'm saying? If you turn on the radio and you only hear the ignorant turn up,
and that's all you hear when you turn on some of these New York radio
That's the problem. That's the problem,
Yeah.
because the truth of the matter is, we live in an age where there's more music than people even know what to do with. There's more music to consume than people have time. So I would argue there's more good hip hop out there right now than ever before. It's just people don't want to go down the rabbit hole or have to put in the legwork to find it. They want they want the tastemakers and the curators to put it in front of them on a plate, like, here, listen to this. And that's part of the problem too, is that, you know, there's gatekeepers and there's people that hold good artists back because of their own personal taste. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, it's a complex issue, and I'm not one of those like, oh, I hate new hip hop music, because I think there's a lot of good music being made. And I think in order for the art form to progress, there's got to be people that go against the grain. There's got to be people that rebel against stuff, because it's almost like punk music. You know what I'm saying? Like rock music was one way until the Sex Pistols came out, or the Ramones came out and said, you know what? You're making all this melodic, heavy chord, you know, classically trained music. We're going to play 3 chords and scream. You know what I mean? And in a way, that's kind of what, you know, the new generation of rap is like. It's like, for so long, the prerequisites were, you gotta be lyrical, you have to be this, you have to be this, you have to be this. And these young kids are like, you know what? I'm gonna wear tight pants, color my hair, and I'm gonna mumble.
Put 50 tattoos on your face.
I'm gonna jump around on stage, and like understanding how the punk movement and all that stuff came about. There's a lot of parallels, man. Like, I don't think people really see it, and I don't think the artists that are, you know, you're a huge Kiss fan. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about how many people hated Kiss.
Yeah.
Like just look at it. When you look at it from that perspective, it kind of changes things. And I'm not 100% sure whether these kids are aware of it. I just see a lot of parallels between what happened in rock music in the 70s with the punk music, with the punk movement, and what's happening today in hip hop. It's like, it's a rebellion. It's, you know, it's pushing back against what people are saying hip hop can and can't be. And to a certain degree, I respect that. You know, I respect that.
Yeah, I want to add to that too, Bobby. I think another problem is a lot of people, they're not being authentic. You know what I'm saying? That's what we saw. So when you had Kiss, although you may not like Kiss, it's only one Kiss. You know what I'm saying? They came out with a thing, that was them. And in this industry, because it's the game has been, you know, the playing field has been leveled. Anybody can go to the Guitar Center and get a mixing board or get some equipment, and then they can call themselves like a, you know, this platinum producer, or not even but you know what I'm saying? It's because of the machine. Nobody's pushing each other, and that's what I'm missing. The artists, they will push each other, like, you know what I'm saying? Because everybody wants to be the best. So it's like, all right, if you're gonna do the mumble rap, be the best mumble rap, or bring something to the table where you can challenge with all these levels. So I think that's the downside. People, they just see this one person, what works for them, and they're like, I can do the same thing. I can put on that. I can get some change. You know what I'm saying?
They can. That's the messed up part is they can. You know what I mean? Like, the barrier to entry is not what it was. You know, and I'm young. Like, it's not what it was when I was 14 or 15 years old. You know, when I was 14, 15 years old, I was just trying to get in a recording studio, you know, to cut demos and shit like that. Like, now a kid has a laptop, a little you know, M-Box or whatever hooked up to a microphone, and you can basically make a song that will sound good enough. You know what I mean? Like, you can make it in your room, and then you upload it onto SoundCloud or whatever, and you put it out there, and you could potentially be the next, you know, Lil Nas X or whatever, you know, and that's like, that's a reality, you know, like a kid can hear something and be like, hey, I could do that. And they can, you know, because and I get what you're saying. I know you don't like that type of stuff, and I don't like that type of stuff. I don't like that it's been diluted to a point where any idiot can make a song, and if they act crazy enough on social media, or they make a big enough fool of themselves, you know, the game is about attention now. So if you can get enough attention on yourself, you could put a record out, and that's where it's messed up. It's become more about the theatrics and the spectacle as opposed to the music. But I think, honestly, there is a time limit on this. I don't know if the popularity contest is gonna last forever. Maybe it'll evolve into something else. I don't really know. But you know, at the end of the day, the serious musicians and the people that take their art, you know, seriously are the ones that have staying power. That's how I've always looked at it.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
What's crazy to me is that I've interviewed some trap artists and drill artists over this whole coronavirus quarantine pandemic, and I've asked some of these guys, you know, who are some of your favorite artists? They'll name 90s artists, and they're from New York, and they sound nothing like it. They sound like down south. It just blows my mind.
Well, that goes back to what we were saying before, man. It's like we live in
the lights on.
yeah. Like we live in a rap has been homogenized to a point that it's like, you know, and I hate being like, oh, back in my day, and Daru can co-sign this. It's like when I was even when I was in high school, you know, I could tell when a record was a New York record. I could tell when a record was a down south record. I could tell when something was from the West Coast or the Midwest. You know, I could tell when, oh, Primo made that. Oh, the Neptunes did that. Oh, Timbaland made that. You know what I'm saying? Like there was a signature and a, you know, there was you just knew when certain producers did stuff, there was an identity to the beats and an identity to the producers that literally does not exist anymore. Like you play me 10 beats, I don't know if I could eat. It sounds like a run-on sentence, man. Like I don't know if I can tell you, you know, maybe somebody like a Mike Will or whatever. You know, there's certain top level producers that I could be like, all right, you know, he did that. But as far as just the identity, you know, having your own style, that's out the window. And I think a lot of these kids are like, you know what? Radio's not going to play a record if I stay true to my East Coast roots and my East Coast identity. So I'm going to make what's popping right now. And I don't think a lot of people realize that there's an expiration date on that, you know, because music really changes like every 5 years, man. Like, you know, what's hot right now is not going to be what's hot 5 years from now. And I always respected artists that take risks and be the change that they want to see or change the game. Like they bring something new to the table. You know what I mean? They become the artist that people end up copying. You know, I respect the artists that do something and it sets a new standard and then all the other people try to catch up to what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I just, and I feel like that's an ethos that I carry myself. I feel like that's something Daru does. I feel like that's part of why we click so much. It's like, forget what everybody else is doing. Dare to be different, you know, stick to your guns. Don't try to follow, you know, something just because it's hot and that's what people tell you they want to hear. You know, eventually, you know, if you keep your head down and you work hard and you build a following doing what you do best, you know, people will start to take notice. Sometimes it's a longer road and it's harder, but you know, I at this point in my career, I could never make a trap record. I could never make a drill record. It would sound contrived and it would sound stupid, you know? So I'm not even going to try and go in that direction.
What's your view of the Brooklyn drill sound that's buzzing out here right now? Because I know we speak of artists sounding like their region or where they come from. Could we say that this is actually an authentic sound that's newly made out of Brooklyn, the Brooklyn drill sound?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
I don't really know.
Could jump in on this too.
Look, I don't really know a lot about it beyond like Pop Smoke and, you know, the people that run with him.
I have no idea.
Yeah, like I don't want to like, that's the thing. Like, I don't want to speak on something like, I really don't know a lot about it. You know, I know Pop Smoke. I know people call it Brooklyn drill. You know, and from what I understand, you know, drill originated in Chicago. That's, you know, like Chief Keef and those guys. It's like, that's like Chicago street music, which in my opinion was their version of trap music. You know what I'm saying? Like it was kind of like an extension of what was going on down south. So, you know, the lineage of it, I sort of get. Look, I think it's cool if any young kids are taking nothing and making it something. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna hate on it. I think it's cool. I love, you know, rest in peace to Pop Smoke. You know, I think if they got a movement and people love it, That's great. You know,
Well, for me, I just tune it out. You know what I'm saying? It's like watching TV. You know what I'm saying? I'm not
turn the
front.
channel.
Turn the channel. That's it. You know, and I'm not gonna even hate on it, but I'm just like I'm good.
Yeah.
And keep it simple like that. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, you know, you get what you put out. You know what I'm saying? But I think there is still a way to have an opinion, but not be so constructive where you know, downplay it so heavy where it just like it becomes a hate thing. You know what I'm saying? But I just turn the next channel. You know what I'm saying? I know what I like, and but at the same time, by me being a genre bending drummer in my career, I had to. Sometimes I've gotten pop gigs. But I would just make them the funkiest pop gig that you're going to hear. You know what I'm saying? And just to coincide with Bobby, because I do. Oh shoot!
There you go.
10%. That my phone is about to die, about to cut off. But just I remember hearing like Nas on, like, you go from Illmatic, it was written. Then the next album, you start hearing Nas rap on some different type of beats that were not as.
Now.
But he stepped. But the record still sounded like Nas. He stepped up to the plate.
Yeah.
He made it a Nas record with his flow. So I would say the same thing, Bobby. If you had an opportunity to do a trap record, it's still going. You know, I'm sure you'll find a way to still, you know, make it Bobby J.
I don't think he wants to do that, right, Bobby J? You don't want to do that.
I think it's honestly, yeah. I think about that sometimes. Like, you know, I don't think I would turn down an opportunity if it was there. I think it's more or less it's a lot of drill music, trap music like that. That's heavy street music, you know. So subject matter wise, like, you know, I can't relate. You know, I'm not from that. So, you know, if I was gonna make a record like that, it's just got to be something that is me and something that's authentic. You know what I mean?
You might get that feature. You might get that ill 10K.
Yeah.
That's how they was doing back in the day. So I'll give you 10K.
He'll be wearing skinny jeans.
Yeah, because I remember paying dues, and even, you know, living in New York, everything is expensive. Sometimes you just got to take what you can get. And I took a couple gigs, but like I said, I just made them as funky as I could. But I'm thankful that I was able to get in the position where now I don't, you know, I can pick and choose. You know, sometimes I would still do things, but I'm knocking on wood. I'm grateful that I paid those dues, and I'm still paying dues on other levels, but I'm thankful that I don't have to take a pop gig and do I won't even call no names, but do those gigs just because I need the bread. You know what I'm saying? Like, chill. Because I think integrity at the end of the day and what you want to have your brand associated with, it's very important. It's very important because it can come back and haunt you. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, exactly. And a lot of people has been haunted because they've crossed over and they can't get back. You know, they lost they lost their whole, you know, their whole steez. So,
yep.
I don't know.
Says we have 3 minutes left. I want you guys to get everything out onto the show, everything out in the airwaves that you want people to know about the project and anything you guys have coming up.
So so shout out to Fat Beats. Y'all know who Fat Beats is. They've been around for a long time. They distribute the album that's out right now. You can get it both clean and explicit version. We have the links, and also follow Bobby J Daru Jones social pages that we have. Bobby, you want to add something to this?
Yeah, I mean, follow at Bobby J Daru Jones. Follow Bobby J From Rockaway. Follow at Daru Jones. You know, we got some more visuals coming from this album. You know, we have some other viral promotions that we're gonna do that are in the works. So just stay tuned, man. We got more content coming out, but yeah, the documentary One Mic and Drum is out right now. That's on Fat Beats YouTube page. The video Take It Personal, the Gangstar Salute with Gabrielle O'Reilly, that's on Fat Beats YouTube page. And yeah, the explicit and clean version of the album is out. You know, just stay tuned, man. We got a lot more coming. So
shout out to the homie Max, you know what I'm saying, for having us on the show.
Yeah, man. Thanks,
your time.
Max.
You already know it's real hip hop and creativity over all the garbage that's out now.
Man, we appreciate it. We appreciate everybody that's been showing us love. Shout out to OK Player. Shout out to my man Rich Nice and Sway. They featured us on the Sway in AM.
Oh yeah.
We have the B. shout out to them, and we hopefully we get some more plugs. Shout out to, you know, the Matt Diamond, everybody that's working the record, and hopefully thanks to everybody that love it so far, and we hope that y'all spread the word. Yep.
Yes, make sure you go check out the album. It's available on all music platforms. I want to thank you guys for coming on the show. I had a great time. It was an honor, and you guys are always welcome back. I'd love to have you back in the future.
Hey, man, thank you, bro.
Can you take a screenshot? Can you somebody take a screenshot?
Oh, Bobby J, you can do that?
I'm trying to see. Hold on a second. I know there's a record option. Did you
I recorded this, yeah.
Okay, so you've been recording. I'm just trying to think if there's
You can just take a screenshot. If you're using the computer, I'm using my phone.
How do you screenshot on a Mac, man? Sorry, I'm not.
I'm not that tech savvy either.
I know too, but I need to have my computer in front of me.
Hold on, I'm about to Google this. Give me 1 second.
Saying you got less than a minute here.
About to ride out.
Shift Command 3. Hold on a second. That should be it.
Work.
One more. I think that's it.
All right.
Cool.
There we have it. I want all you, both of you to take care and stay safe out here during this whole pandemic and everything else going on in the world.
Thank you. Much love, Max.
Yeah.
Much love, Max. Yeah, I got it. It worked.